And thanks so much to the entertainment team. After rocking your dancing feet, time now to fill you in on some news making rounds. Welcome to News at 10 on TV3 and 3FM 92.7. First, let's check some top stories on our network. Fire guts Coconut Grove Regency Hotel in Accra, destroying property worth thousands of cedis. The hotel, owned by 2016 PPP flag bearer and business mogul Dr. Papa Kwesi Ndum, caught fire late Saturday afternoon. And on your screens there, the fire said to have destroyed several offices of the facility. Firemen and police officers there to ensure the safety of people who work there. We'll tell you more about that. A 15-year-old girl has been shot dead, bringing the death toll in the renewed Nkonya-Alavanyo clashes to 3. This happened Friday when gunshots by unknown persons hit a girl in the neck. Meanwhile, the Volta Regional Security Council and the military have appealed to feuding parties or feuding communities to cease fire and come forward with credible information there. So the situation, they're not getting any better. Another person killed. We'll update you tonight. Pests suspected to be army worms have invaded several cocoa farms in the Jisu Juabi municipality of the Ashanti region. We're told that affected farmers say they are recording huge losses despite the application of pesticides to control the disease. And of course, these farmers indeed counting their losses. Their farms, ports destroyed there in that area. Still staying in the Ashanti region, the KMA is to reintroduce sanitation police to ensure a clean environment in the city. The sanitation police would educate and ensure that people who indiscriminately throw refuse around are punished by laws of the area. I'll tell you more about that later. But on the international front tonight, let's talk about Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta, who has blamed huge voter turnout for chaos at his party's primaries on Friday. And of course, the party getting ready to elect another person. We have all that plus more coming up on this network. And of course, our viewers across the country and beyond, we're grateful that you have stayed there to be part of the show. You're listening to us on 3FM 92.7 and also watching us on TV3. Let's start with a big one. And not very good news tonight. Personnel from the Ghana National Fire Service have been able to put out the fire that engulfed the Coconut Grove Regency Hotel in Accra. And we're told that several property worth thousands of cedis were destroyed there. Firemen on your screens there trying to get into every facility, every office there. The fire, we're told, started from the Amansan TV station and got to other offices, and it took personnel some hours to put out the fire, while policemen ensured that there was absolute security of the people and property there. We're told also that some other offices have been destroyed, but again, the main Coconut Grove Hotel and restaurants and guest rooms, were told, have not been affected by the fire. It's just the studios of Amansan TV and other offices that have been affected by the fire. And of course, on your screens there, you can see the fire there, and some statement issued by Group Indom indicating that it was only the studios of Amansan TV and other adjoining offices that were affected by the fire, and that the Coconut Grove Hotel and guest rooms and restaurants, however, were not affected. And firemen, as of now, have been able to put out the fire. Police officers were also there to ensure the security and safety of both property and persons who were around the area at that time when the fire broke out. We're told around 5 p.m. the fire started from the offices of Amansan TV and spread very fast to other offices of Group Indom. Right, Billy Anaglate is speaks for the Ghana National Fire Service. He has joined me here in this. Billy, grateful for your time tonight. So, what is the situation now? Fire out? Everyone in there safe?
Yes, exactly. We'll be able to extinguish the fire.
Right.
You know, at the time that I was leaving, there was everything that we'll be able to do to ensure that everybody is safe. There was no cause of alarm. There wouldn't be any reignition based on all the facilities that we ensure that are totally, cooled below the ignition temperatures. Even at the time that I was leaving, some of the fire tenders were also leaving. But what we would do is to leave one fire engine there with some of our men to ensure that overnight nothing unexpected happens.
I see. And so, how long did it take firemen to put out the fire?
Well, I should say they're close to, I should say about 4 hours. We had a call that was 17:21 this afternoon. Thankfully, our first engine got there within 3 minutes from our headquarters here. They got to the scene.
Right.
But when they got to the scene, surprisingly, the whole stretch of the structure was engulfed, and that was how they called for assistance. So at the time that I was leaving, we were still having 19 appliances on the ground, 13 fire tenders, 4 water tankers, 1 turntable ladder, all from the fire service point of view, from the fire service, but 1 additional fire engine from the military also assisted. So 19 fire appliances.
I see. Then it must have been a huge fire then from the number of equipment you had to mobilize to the scene.
It wasn't a huge fire though, but if you look at the structure, from the floor level to the roofing, about 70% of...
your men are still trying to get in touch with you.
About 70% of those
okay, Billy Anaglate is still here, the PR of the fire, Ghana National Fire Service. His men are still trying to reach him, even though we're told that the fire has been put out, and even the fire tenders, some have left. He said that 1 machine will be left there to allow, in case of any emergency, to be dealt with. And his men trying to reach him again. Grateful. Yeah. So you were talking about the fact that you had to mobilize several equipment to the fire scene.
Yeah, exactly. Not because the fire was so large,
right?
But because of the nature of the facility that was on the fire. I was saying that if you look at the facility itself, about 70% of the facility is made up of wood, from the floor level even up to the roofing. So definitely you agree with me that the rapidity or the velocity for which the fire will be spreading was very fast. So what we did was to ensure that we have a lot of appliances that could be positioned at vantage points to prevent the fire from spreading.
From spreading to
yes, exactly.
Billy, hold on a minute. So these are the pictures from the scene. The Solicitor Courty is there, and she will fill us in as exactly what's happening. But these were pictures taken some minutes ago. Yes, Solis, if we can hear you.
Presidential candidate Dr. Papa Kwesi Indom. Now, as I mentioned, this happened sometime at 6 p.m. It's about 3-4 hours later, and still the fire has not been completely kept under control. We've spoken to Mr. Billy Anaglate. He's a PRO for the Ghana National Fire Service, and he was expressing his displeasure at the fact that people are complaining, or the eyewitnesses here are complaining that, for instance, the fire tenders were coming in empty, but he was saying that the fire tenders were not coming in empty, and that there were some stationed here on the on location, and the other ones that kept going and coming were the ones that were feeding the water and what was being used to quench the fire into the ones that were already stationed here. So that was that for him. We also spoke to the Accra Mayor, Mr. Ajay Soa, and he was also saying that he was not so pleased about the response time for the Ghana National Fire Service, because this has happened several times, and this also started a few hours ago, and so it should probably have been quenched by now. Unfortunately, if you look at the building, the entire roof has been caved in. The Ghana National Fire Service somehow managed to get into the building about an hour or so ago, and I'm sure they'll be trying to take certain things out to save some valuables, but that's pretty much it for now. They're still trying to quench the fire. They're still pumping in so much water, and as of now, we haven't recorded any casualties yet, and hopefully we won't do that. But there's so many people here from the fire service, the military is here, the Ghana Police Service is here. You can see some of the workers of this particular establishment also here. We saw the manager for the establishment, I saw Mr. Ralph, and we will try and speak to him, but if we're not able to, we'll probably try and catch him later. It's like I mentioned, it is a chaotic situation. To wrap it all off, this has been going on for the last 3.5 hours.
And so these were pictures recorded earlier in the day before the fire service actually put the fire out. And Billy is here in the studio after the fire started. He has time to speak to us. Billy, now, so of course, the issue of whether tenders had water, and of course, those standing there were not fire experts, so they wouldn't understand how the process worked. But you had tried to explain to our lady there that it was just a procedural thing. Others were running up and down to fill those that were working.
Yes, exactly. It was our technical contingency plan that put in place.
Right.
You agree that if we should have tenders fighting fire when they are exhausted with water, moving out to go and fetch water and coming, or replenish and coming, just imagine the maneuverability of these tenders. It will not be that easy.
Right.
So technically, we have positioned some of the tenders permanently stationed at their point to continue fighting fires uninterrupted in terms of water supply. But others will only go replenish, and come and then feed water. Those ones that are on the ground. But you look at fire tenders, they are all of the same color. Until you are able to determine the numbers, you will not be able to determine which one has gone in and is moving out. So the public, looking at it from that layman point of view, I want to use that one. And they think that the tenders were coming in empty and going out and coming. That will have never been the issue. Okay. It will never happen.
All right.
In the Ghana
Billy, hold on a bit for me. Let me go via Skype and speak to the Chief Executive of the Bureau, or the Executive Director of Bureau of Public Safety, Nana Kwada. He's joined me via Skype to take a look at the situation, the response level, and how the public can stay safe when issues like this happen. Nana, I'm grateful for your time tonight.
Hey, Bright, good evening, and good evening to your viewers.
All right, so Nana, let's start from here. For the public in these public places, when such incidents happen, first of all, what should they do, and what also should the fire service do when it happens like this?
Well, let me say it's very unfortunate. Let me commend Billy and his team for bringing this fire under control. I think by far it's one of the longest raging fires they've had to fight this year. Usually we encourage the public, and in fact occupiers, that as soon as they spot fire, they should start, the process of extinguishing this fire. And once they are by their judgment, they should also call the fire service. So as soon as you sight fire, you start the process of fighting and then call the fire service, just in case that fire, overpowers your ability to keep it under control. For the public, I was amazed to see so many people over there, ganged up at the place. Sometimes these things impede even access to such facilities and makes fighting fire a bit difficult. So it's important that when we see facilities or places, engulfed in fire, we stay back. There are situations where sometimes fires are raging on and there are explosions that have even more catastrophic effects than the initial fire. So it's important to always stay back as far back as you can and observe. Also allow space to state emergency services to act.
I see. And for people who own these public places, fire safety should be a huge concern. What do we do? There are places where you have these equipment that can detect fires quickly for quick response. From what we just seen, it looks like the facility didn't have anything like that.
Well, it depends. It depends on where the fire started from. There are times where, for instance, if you take a school library that is running 24/7, if you put their fire detection systems, it's very unlikely that at the time that there is fire there will be no human being there. The human beings that will enter into this library 24/7 are better fire detection systems than the gadgets that you will fix far above their level. By the time fire hits the ceiling to activate the detection system, it would have gone out of control already. So it depends on where that fire probably started. That said, I think that it is stated clearly in the LI 1724, which has been amended and some additions made. So Billy can help us with the real, the title of the new LI now.
Right.
That the companies or occupiers have a responsibility to train not less than 40% of its staff in how to prevent and fight fire. When you have this, you have a certain level of guarantee that when the fire strikes, at least you have some people to start the primary fighting for you before the fire service, comes in.
I see. Now, unfortunately, I have to wrap up with you here. I'm grateful for your time tonight. Thank you much. The Executive Director of the Bureau of Public Safety, Nanaya Akwada, they're talking to me on the fire situation. Billy, let's get ready to wrap up our conversation. Now, you sometime last year went round certifying certain public places. I'm sure that place is certified as able to fight fire, I guess.
Well, actually, if you come to auditing and finding a facility of firefighting and fire prevention, it's a very large area. Of course, they might have certain fire, a detection system, but we are yet to determine whether at the time that the fire occurred, if any of those facilities were serviceable in terms of detecting and fighting fire. I'm very much aware that they do not have automatic fire suppression system that will automatically
like the sprinklers and all that.
And those things they are not having.
But that are very key in some of these public places.
Because many of these fires that will be having weekends and holidays normally happen in commercial premises where people have left for holidays. Some of them might, I'm not saying that is the cause of the fire, might have left some electrical gadgets that might have overused, itself that could also cause the fire. So if you have those total, suppression system automatically, that would detect and suppress the fire. It is more, reliable than just relying on the security people that are many at times may even detect the fire, but we don't know what to do at the time that they have detected the fire.
I see.
They might not even call the fire service. At the time they call the fire, a whole lot of things have gone wrong.
Billy, hold on. The Interior Minister has been talking about the fire. Let's listen to him quickly and come back to the studio.
I came here to see for myself what is happening. It's a matter of concern that this fire has gone as far as it has. The tenders came without water or run short of water. So when I arrived, that was the first query. I said, why the tenders come without water or run short of water? And the explanation was that there were tenders bringing water to feed those that were here. Well, that is it so far. What I can assure you is that we will need a full investigation on what has happened as in respect of the reaction of the fire service personnel. But for now, they assure me the situation will be contained, and I'm staying here to make sure the fire goes out before I leave.
All right, and of course, investigations, Billy, I'm sure it has started, but the Interior Minister also not certainly an expert in firefighting, and so what you explained earlier could be what he is also talking about. Exactly.
Logically, we should be able to understand some of these simple...
You don't need to be a fire expert?
No, not at all. You don't need to be a fire expert. At times they talk as if the fire service is made up of and do well people who could not reason that fire tenders are supposed to be filled with water. It's unfortunate anyway.
Okay. Billy Glatte speaks for the National Fire Service there. If you saw the fire tenders moving in and out, they were only failing those that were stationed there and trying to deal with the fire. Billy, I'm grateful for your time tonight. Right. Thanks so much for staying there. Let's take a break. If you're listening to us on 3FM 92.7, if you're watching us on TV3, we're grateful for your time. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll tell you what COPEC, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, is talking about the first 100 days of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Stay with us. We're back in a moment. Welcome back on 3FM 92.7 and on TV3. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC, has expressed dissatisfaction at certain issues with the President's 100 days in office. We're told that the achievements of the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has not done well in its first 100 days in office so far as the petroleum sector is concerned. Statement by COPEC indicated the independent assessment shows the government well in the petroleum sector. The chamber took into consideration the state of fuel pricing and also the quantity of parity issues. The chamber also added that government must work harder at tackling challenges in the sector. Again, the statement urged government to do a little much more than it probably has done as far as that sector is concerned. Duncan Amoy is with me here tonight. Duncan, I'm grateful for your time tonight. So the sector, 100 days, has not done well. But before that, the fire at the Coconut Grove Regency, perhaps too many fires at this time?
Let me thank you again, Bright. It reinforces the need for insurance, even in the petroleum downstream.
Right.
These fires are not peculiar to a hotel. You find them sometimes in the fuel stations. We'll reiterate to fuel station owners to ensure that minimum they could get some insurance so that in the case of an unforeseen eventuality, as we have seen with Coconut Grove, maybe they could be able to get something recovered.
And get their businesses back.
Get their businesses back so they don't lose everything.
All right. So the first 100 days, the sector isn't doing well?
Bright, let me start by saying two things. It will be our duty as Ghanaians to continue to keep the government on its toes. It's also a duty for us as a chamber to constantly track and ensure that we do not get to a point of crashing before we all get back to either complain or cry or shout. The first 100 days of the government has been a mixed one, where the government has shown some goodwill in reducing fuel taxes. That is commendable.
Right.
We believe it would still reduce some in the coming days. Again, what we are averting the government's mind to is the state of our state petroleum entities. If you go through the report, we did a thorough assessment of Temoyo Refinery, bulk oil storage and transportation. We looked at the NPA and we also looked at TOR, GOIL. Surprisingly, it was only GOIL that could make the 80% mark of the 4 mentioned. There's the need for government to have a lot of look at TOR particularly, and then BOST
in terms of its operations.
In terms of its operations and contribution to national, development, the economy. Today, as we speak, Ghanaians continue to pay that levy for TOR's existence. And over the past 100 days, the refinery hasn't been operating. It's been idle. The excuse is that some maintenance has to be carried out. You would ask, till when would the maintenance be completed? BOST also is supposed to hold some strategic stocks for all of us, minimum of 6 weeks. We are currently doing averages of about 4 weeks, not too encouraging. So whilst we say that the government would need to do a little much more to impress all of us, we are only encouraging that something has been done, but the government may need to focus on some of these SPEs so that we do not get to a point where there's fuel security issues or TOR continues to remain idle for the rest of the year, and then the Ghanaian would have to continue contributing. When you buy LPG, you are contributing 4 pesos to TOR.
Right.
When you buy, petrol, diesel, 8 pesos. I wonder how long we would have to continue paying.
I have known that levy for quite some time now.
And it's still there. And we want the government to have a look at these things. The sulfur issue, that is one of the indicators we used. The previous government had indicated it was going to move by January to a cleaner product specification. We missed January. We went to April. We missed that one. We have been told July. We would want to believe the government will do July for all of us, so that the next other 100 days we'll come back to assess again and see
how it has
performed. But TOR and BOST would need to
take another look at their operations. Duncan, I'm grateful for your time tonight. Sorry, we've run out of time. Duncan Amoah is the Chief Executive Director of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers here. Now, let's move on. Now, physician assistant interns in the country have threatened to embark on a strike if they are not put on the payroll for the job they do at the various health facilities across the country. We are told that they said the Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service had neglected them. And according to the group, unlike their counterparts, intern pharmacists and doctors, physician assistant interns posted to the various public facilities in the country do not have what it takes. They describe the situation as discriminatory and in contravention of the labor laws. My guest tonight will help us to understand exactly what they want. Anthony Asariakon is with me. Grateful for your time tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Physician assistant interns want to embark on a strike, and why?
Thank you. Good evening to your cherished listeners, viewers, sorry.
Of course, you are on radio too, so that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Physician assistants are professionals who have undergone training through the universities or accredited institutions and have completed their training, have paid their fees, and they have sat for Medical and Dental Council license exams.
And have passed.
And have
been issued with their licenses.
Yes, to practice medicine and dentistry in the case of community oral health offices. And then after that, you undergo a mandatory 1-year internship. During that time, nothing.
You're not paid anything? Is that what
nothing, no remuneration since 2014. Initially, the program was for nurses who were already on salary, and they will go to school at Kintampo. But now, a lot of institutions like Central University, Presby University,
are churning out physician assistants?
Yes, please.
So the issue is that you've not been posted.
You have been posted, we are working.
But you have not been paid?
Nothing. You are given a posting letter with no specification.
And how long have you people been home?
No, we are working. We are still working.
Okay, how long have you people not been paid?
For the whole year. Once you undertake the internship, no salary, no remuneration. There is no clearly defined conditions of service for the physician assistant intern. And these are, when you go to the consulting room, you either meet a medical officer or a doctor, or you meet a physician assistant.
I see. And what have you been told about authorities about your plight?
We have petitioned the Ministry of Health through the Labour Commission. On 2 occasions, they were called for hearing. Nobody came. Our last hearing was on 20th March. We were heard by...
2017.
Yes, 2017. The chairman of the commission adjourned the meeting to 29th May. So we were patiently waiting so that the Minister of Health comes. Unfortunately for us to hear that another batch of interns have been posted without any quotation for remuneration.
As far as remuneration is concerned. All right. Anthony Akon, I'm grateful for your time. We'll need to follow this up, but we've run out of time. And physician assistants, they are talking about they working for over a year and yet not being remunerated. I'm grateful for your time tonight. We'll follow up this. Thanks so much for listening to us on 3FM and also on watching us on TV3. My guys in the studio, Nanabu Ajenai Pence and Theophilus Clotte Bernard Hansi, Manassas Dakwa Ben Mensa, and of course, studio director Richard Bruce Lamte. The show was put together by Salom Amenya and Ebenezer Ejekum Boatin. My name is Bright Nanafo. Have a great Saturday night, but stay right here on TV3. Good night.